Hello and welcome. I'm Brad. I'm Sweaty. That's Cy. He's Mikeless. And this pretty much sums up our channel right now. We're still trying to work out the kinks, but we hope you enjoy it. Anything you want to add, Cy?
Cue the montage.
My God, what a goal! Hello, welcome back. This is our second ever review. So we're doing this on 1975, and this is on One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Now, you may have seen it, you may have not. It's won Best Picture. Well, actually, it's one of the few films to have won Best Picture, Director, Actor, Actress, and Screenplay. When Randle Patrick McMurphy, Jack Nicholson, gets transferred for evaluation from a prison farm to a mental institution, he assumes it'll be a less restrictive environment. But the martinet Nurse Ratched, played by Louise Fletcher, runs the psychiatric ward with an iron fist, keeping her patients cowed through abuse, medication, and sessions of electroconvulsive therapy. The battle of wills between the rebellious McMurphy and the inflexible Ratched soon affects all the ward's patients.
Wow.
That's the official synopsis.
What a performance that was, Brad. You should have been part of the film.
I know, they should have cast me instead of Jack. So, I've seen this film many times. I first watched this when I was 16, and honestly, it blew me away. It's one of my favourite films. Over the years, like the other films have popped up in it, but it's always got a soft spot for me, this one. Now, this is your first time watching the film, yeah?
Absolutely.
What were your thoughts? Did you hear anything about this beforehand? Let me have it. Yeah.
The only thoughts on anything I knew about it before was that it was one of your favourite films of all time. Other than that, I knew absolutely nothing about it. I wasn't really sure what to expect because I read the synopsis before obviously going into it, as you do. It's interesting how he manages to get them all on his side as well throughout, and how he does in turn make the people he was with, his fellow colleagues, shall we say, how he makes them be on his side and rise up against Ratched in the end.
But one thing I think you obviously didn't mention there was that obviously, really, he's faking it.
Yeah.
To get into the mental institution. Because what I think's interesting as well is that it's mentioned kind of briefly at the start that he's actually really in for statutory rape.
Does it get mentioned at some point, like how long his overall sentence was? I mean, at one point it does mention that he has 68 days left, but did it say how long he actually
say in the film. I think it does in the book, because there is a book this is based on.
Right.
And the author actually, we'll get into that later, but the authors refused to watch the movie.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so it is implied that it is a short sentence, like he isn't there for long. Like, he just kind of thought it'd just be easier to go to the mental ward than it would be to go to, prison.
Obviously, Billy probably must have had, or did have really bad depression. That's why he wasn't ready to leave the hospital. And in turn, Ratched is, I don't know, who would you say is the main cause for him?
I mean,
because on one hand, you look at McMurphy, he did a nice thing. He had probably the night of his life. Obviously, that though then turned into what happened afterwards, which is it's a tough one because you can't really say McMurphy killed him, even though technically you could say that he did in another way.
Well, in a way, he radicalized him. He changed who he was.
Yeah. Yeah, he looked a lot happier. He looked a lot happier, which is another interesting reason as to why he went ahead and. Obviously...
Well, it's because it's that fear. It was like Nurse Ratched, and it's also why she is ultimately a villain. Is that even if she doesn't mean the worst, like I think in her head, like Louise Fletcher talks about how, like, she thinks she's a good nurse. Like Nurse Ratched believes herself to be doing good, being a good nurse, but really, she's manipulating and controlling all these people, and she's just kind of got them locked in where, like, she controls what they eat, when they sleep, when they do. The
But
routine is killing him.
it is technically a prison at the same time. Like there are actual inmates there that have gone to prison. So
Right.
on one hand, they'd have that kind of schedule when in prison. Obviously, that's a mental institution. If they volunteered to do it, you've got to abide by the rules there because that's what they volunteered for.
So your team Ratched then. You're
absolutely, yeah.
yeah. I'm surprised really.
I'm
Yeah,
not,
you're
not,
Nurse Ratched.
not throughout. I'm just trying to look at the perspective of
Right.
why.
You're trying to add nuance to the discussion, and you're trying to play devil's advocate here.
Exactly. You got to look at both perspectives, and then you come out with the end.
You could, but I just say screw Nurse Ratched. But fair enough. I get it.
I mean, I've seen it numerous times as well, so you've already had your opinion set. But
Yeah, for many years, I'm set in stone.
exactly. But I'm just trying to look at it from her perspective of she's done what would be probably the same in another prison, but obviously they have more freedom there in that they're not walking around in chains and having to do work labour. But they still got to stick to a schedule. I mean, heck, they even still were watching TV as well later on in the film. So it's not like they were allowed to watch TV or anything. It was just literally the World Series that was on at the time. And even though she threatened Billy with the whole "I'll tell your mum," I still don't. It depends how long she's worked with Billy for. Obviously, she's probably known him for years and years and years, and maybe you could say that it was injustice of her to threaten him like that, knowing how unstable he was.
Well, it's because she believes what she's doing is right. She doesn't see
exactly, but at the same time, it's not like he's threatening his life in any way. It was Billy who decided to do that himself, and you could say that obviously that was a tipping point, but it's difficult to know the breaking point of people. And when I watched the film, I wouldn't have said that Nurse Ratched telling Billy's mum would have been a breaking point for him to commit suicide.
So you're saying she shouldn't be held liable for his death?
don't think she should be held liable for the death of Billy. I think it was just Billy himself that unfortunately he just reached that point in his life where there was just no going back.
You're definitely Team Ratched.
No, but you look at the perspective of her, like you've admitted that she thinks her intentions are good, but they're just not coming out in the right way, in the right manner. I think that's true, absolutely, but I wouldn't say that she's.
However, for me, what it is with that scene, it's her response that is so infuriating, and like I wanted her to die in that moment. Every time I watch this, when he tackles her and he tries strangling her, I want her to freaking die. Honestly, it's because she. Like in her head, she's just denying that anything's wrong. She's like, well, let's just carry on with our day. But yeah, oh man, honestly, no, if I was to make a list of my like favorite / most hateable like villain, she's up there for me.
Wow.
It's because as well, it's kind of like someone made this point years ago, not about this movie, but Finding Nemo. This might sound odd for a sec.
Yeah.
Right. They were saying how I can't remember what movie they were comparing it to, but they were saying how they hated the little girl from Finding Nemo. The girl with the braces.
Yeah.
Right. Darla, I think her name is. Right. And you hate Darla watching it. She's just an innocent, like, 5-year-old girl who's just shaking a fish. Right. She's just having a pet fish. She doesn't realise the consequences of what she does.
Yeah.
But you hate her because of the threat she has in that context of the film to Nemo. Right. So as a kid and stuff, you hate Darla even though she's just an innocent little girl.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same with Sid in Toy Story. You hate Sid because he's like torturing toys, but they're toys. He doesn't know they're real. And so really, right, so that's why for me, Nurse Ratched is like, I hate her so much in the context of this film. In another film, she wouldn't even be that bad. But in the context of this film, of what she means against McMurphy and how she is with all the inmates and whatnot, she's the authority figure. And
of course, but there's got to be a structure at the institution. It is an institution with actual prisoners there, like McMurphy. So there has got to be that that them boundaries that it's got to be strict at points, and they had, in my opinion, they had quite a lot of freedom there. I don't think she was taking that much away from them.
Right. Wow.
Which is a very controversial point, but I do truly believe that she was just very misunderstood, and all the inmates were getting bathed still. It wasn't like they were all living in horrible conditions and that they weren't able to do anything, because they're all outside doing basketball, which is what you expect to do at prison anyway. But yeah, that's the point. I mean, if this was in an actual prison, would she be, and she was like an officer at the prison, would she be as frowned upon there as she, in your eyes, as she would be at a mental institution? Do you think the fact that it's in a mental institution is what makes you dislike her?
Well, that's the thing, is that, so in the scenes where McMurphy isn't in, so when she has the scene where she's with the board, essentially, and they're making their decision on McMurphy, that and the way they talk about her, they talk about how she's one of the finest workers they've got there, and how she's very good at what she does. And they listen to her with respect, and they take what she says seriously. Like, she's the reason McMurphy ends up staying.
True, because everyone else voted him out. And
yeah, exactly. And she's like, no, we don't pass on our problems. We deal with them. Obviously, the bitch then means that she's going to lobotomise him at the end of the film.
Oh, you went in hard there, the bitch.
Yeah. Oh, honestly, mate, I hate this woman. I truly hate this Ratched. And I get entirely what you're saying, but I truly hate it.
Right,
there is a grey area to it. There is definitely a grey area to it where you could look at it. Well, because that's another interesting thing, actually, is that I was reading, I was looking up behind the scenes earlier, and originally, in the first draft, the director kind of saw her as a pure villain, as the epitome of evil. But Louise Fletcher, because that's why she wasn't almost cast in the role. She almost wasn't cast because they wanted her to be pure evil.
Right.
I didn't think she'd be as convincing. But Louise Fletcher wanted to add the layers to it, essentially.
I've been intrigued, actually. People that have seen it, actually, and watching this video, we should do a poll. Can we do polls on it? Or if you all want to put down in the comments.
We probably don't have enough views yet to make a poll, but that'd be interesting. We could try and put one on.
Or for now, just comment and just.
Yeah, we can add what you can do is we can put a link to polls in the comments.
Yeah, we'll do a poll, and then we'll ask for your opinions as well on Nurse Ratched in the comments as well, because it'd be interesting to see everyone's take on it.
What's the question we're asking?
So the question is, do you think that Nurse Ratched was misunderstood, or do you think she was the epitome of evil, as Brad put it before?
Favourite line? Did you make a note of this, or did you forget?
I forgot. I mean, I'd say that the most one of the, I don't know really. It's a tough one.
One job. One
Favorite
job.
Line. To be fair, I quite enjoyed the scene where Mr. Harding kind of lost his nerve the first time.
Oh yeah, he's like, heaven, hell, God.
Yeah. I quite enjoyed his outburst there.
I love his little rant monologue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
I'm just trying to think of a favourite quote.
Well, because I've got one.
Have you? I was thinking maybe would it be one near the end between McMurphy and Billy?
Actually, funnily enough, no. Mine's at the beginning of the film.
Okay.
So mine is right. So Dr. Spivey, he's like, well, you've had 5 prior arrests for assault. And McMurphy's like, 5 fights, huh? Rocky Marciano's got 40 and he's a millionaire.
Yeah, that's a good point.
There's something about that. I just really love that line.
Yeah.
It just says a lot about how, not only just his sense of humour, but also just how he sees the world,
Yeah.
And there's more dramatic lines you can go for, but that's just more of a light one for the way this movie is that I just really enjoy.
It's good to know. Thank you.
Exactly. You're welcome. You're welcome. So, have you got a favourite line, or are you just going with the monologue?
I'm terrible with quotes. I'll go with the monologue instead, because if I try and remember, I'll remember for the next film to type it down and put it down so I can.
Okay. Favourite scene?
Favourite scene? That's a tough one. There's so many great scenes in that film. So that's a real tough question to answer.
Because there's so many I love. An honourable mention for me, I'd say the chief reveal I really like.
Yeah.
I like them. I love the basketball scenes. To be fair, I love all the scenes where McMurphy's just with the patients, really, which is honestly the entire movie. I just love when he has the interactions with them, especially the early ones as well.
Yeah.
But I've got two clear favourite scenes I'll get to after you've given yours.
Okay. I mean, there's the one on the boat on the fishing trip. That's quite iconic.
For a film you just saw today, it is quite iconic, yeah.
From the two films I've watched, it's iconic. And I'm gonna go just because I can take something from it. I'm gonna go the Monopoly scene, just mainly based on that. I can not because it's anything special. No, not because it's not anything special. But I'm saying that as a secondary, just because I can relate to it, and other people can relate to it even now.
Fair enough. I've got to say, I'm very surprised at your pick. All right, but at the end of the day, it's favourite scene and not best scene, so it's a perfectly valid answer. All right, so my two favourite scenes. Well, one's the ending. I've got the entire mainly when I'm because I've got to be specific. I'm referring to when McMurphy comes back and after he's been lobotomized, and obviously the chief then puts him out of his misery. The music's playing and he breaks out. There's just something so, I don't know, yeah, there's something so poignant, tragic, and almost in a way epic about it at the same time. And just the shot of the chief running out in the distance.
Yeah.
There's just...
I had to turn the brightness up for that. I couldn't really see him. It's quite a dark scene. It reminded me of The Long Night from Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, that'll be it. I guess at this point, there's going to be a Game of Thrones reference in every review we do.
It's got to be.
Until we get to the point where we eventually just review Game of Thrones.
Or people keep bashing in the comments about how bad it is.
And I quit the channel and never return. But but my favourite scene is the reveal scene with when he finds out he's committed and the rest are voluntary. I love that entire scene, and
right.
Where he kind of goes through one by one, and you're just almost in disbelief that all these are here voluntarily, and he's the one that's committed.
Definitely put more thought into yours than I did mine there. That was the fishing scene where and yours as well.
As well, mine. As well, I just love how the scene just turns and evolves, and it's just like how when he's saying to Billy how you're a kid, you should be going out chasing beaver, and then they all laugh because they think he's joking. He's like, no, there's nothing funny about that. I just love it all. Oh, and of course, the age-old question: can you fit Piano Man into this film?
Oh, I forgot about that question.
I actually think this one you could do. I think it's set before 75, but even so, if you just imagine it's set in modern...
Do you know what? I'm gonna play the song. I'm gonna try and envision where I could picture it being.
Okay. Oh yeah, because it's technically set in 1963, but we'll just pretend that they can,
It could play right at the end when Chief is running the.
That's the ending song for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah.
So instead of well, I'm not going to do an impression of music. It's like impossible to do an impression of. But instead of that song, we got Piano Man playing as the ending. We should make that a thing. I should edit like every movie ending to have Piano Man as the outro. This won picture, director, actor, actress, screenplay, and it was nominated for. Actually, do you think you can guess what else it was nominated for?
So go through them again. So
it won the top 5. So it won picture, director, actor for Jack Nicholson, best actress for Louise Fletcher, and it won adapted screenplay.
Adapted, maybe original as well.
Oh no, bless you. No, you can. Okay, the different original and adapted screenplay can't be nominated for the same ones because adapted is when it's based on a book or pre-existing material. It's like a TV show or a short story. Yeah. Original is when it's basically entirely original. So you have 2 writing winners.
Right. Okay.
You can be nominated for both. You just
It won't be. I'd be surprised if it's for songs for best score.
Actually, that was one of the nominees, best score.
Was it?
It didn't win because it lost to Jaws, obviously.
Oh yeah. What was on? Maybe costume.
Sorry, costume. No, it wasn't actually. Although to be fair, I kind of get why you shouted that out, but at the same time, would it be that hard to do a costume design for this movie?
No, I guess not.
I mean, there's certainly an art to it, but I'm not sure if this one is like like Lord of the Rings would win costume design because you're creating like a world and stuff, and you're creating all these unique looks.
What am I missing then? What other?
Okay, so you're missing what? Okay, one hint for you is what am I going to be doing to this video?
Oh, best editing.
Yeah,
Okay.
the cinematography,
Cinematography. Yeah.
and someone was nominated for best supporting actor. Who?
It's got to be Billy.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, Billy was nominated. No, he didn't win. He lost to a guy called George Burns for the Sunshine Boys, which is a movie I haven't seen, but I'm aware it's a comedy. But no, I mean, he's great. This is probably the best role he's ever had, and he's had like a 40+ year career. But
It's funny when I read the synopsis of the film as well. It kind of made out it's going to be a bit of a comedy as well, which I get certain parts were quite humorous.
yeah, there is some humorous moments in it, definitely.
But the way it made it out to be, I was thinking this was going to be a full blown comedy when I came into it.
Oh, really? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not that.
Yeah.
No, it's more of a tragedy by the end. It's
100%.
But yeah, no, it's fascinating because as well, Billy will go on to have a career where he's playing creepy characters and villains. Generally, aside from Deadwood, really, he's very much like even in Lord of the Rings, he's like a creepy villain. But yeah, no, but in here, your heart just breaks for him in this, and as well, he's playing with a tick. Maybe he slightly ever does it at times with the stuttering, but it's the kind of role that the Oscars kind of love.
Right.
But he lost out to a veteran. He lost out to someone who'd been around since like the vaudeville years. Yeah, the bloke he lost to was like, he was 79.
What?
He was around in like the silent movie era.
Oh wow, that is a lot.
Yeah, because the Oscars can be, basically the Oscars are also known for they'll give people career awards essentially. So what they'll do is sometimes if say like Leo when he won for The Revenant, even though he won at the end of his career enough and he's had better roles in the past, he's given better performances, but it was just the right year where they felt no other movie. Well, all the buzz was around Leo that year. But yeah, but in terms of like veterans and whatnot, they kind of do that sometimes. They'll just give it to someone who's never won, or they'll give it to someone who's like in the 70s or 80s.
Yeah.
Even though that he does a great job. Best Picture, I'd give it. I love the movie.
You wouldn't say best director because Nicholson had a bit of an input, wouldn't you, as well?
Well, actually, no, not even for that. Because I didn't know that until today.
Oh, okay.
Well, because for me, it really depends. Like, I've gotten into debates with people about this before, and it's a debate that's gone on for like the last 100 years, right? So, if you make the best film, should you automatically win best director?
It's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, you'd expect it to be nominated amongst it, which obviously this one was.
Now, Spielberg was also snubbed for best director. He wasn't nominated.
Yeah, it's a really tough one, that. I mean, what would you say all the roles of a director is? Just
well, for me, I kind of judge who I'd want to win best director based on like the technical elements of a film, not just purely technical, but it's a combination of emotion. It's a combination of it's of tone. It's of the technical. It's kind of like, okay, so did you ever watch Spotlight or The Big Short?
No, I haven't. No.
Oh, okay. All right. Think of all right. So remember 2018, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or 2017. Sorry. Okay. So remember you watched Three Billboards and Shape of Water and Get Out.
Yeah.
Which was the best movie of those lot for you?
Three Billboards.
Right. But should Three Billboards win directing over The Shape of Water or Get Out? Is the directing better in Three Billboards than it is in The Shape of Water?
Yes.
Oh, would you say so? Who's your MVP of the movie? So it can be actor, director, writing, prison. What the mental ward?
Have to go with the main character, the main man, McMurphy.
Oh, Nicholson. Yeah.
Nicholson. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, I'm torn. because I love Nicholson in this. I love McMurphy, but Nurse Ratched. I don't know. I think if she's, I think another actor could. I think someone else could fill in the McMurphy role. Although he's incredible in it, absolutely deserves to win Best Actor, and he's iconic in it. But Nurse Ratched for me, and the fact that this really is her only significant work in her career, I'm going to go Nurse Ratched. Because I think if a lesser actress is in that role, even though she's not even like the greatest actress enough in Louise Fletcher, but she's perfect in this role. And if I don't hate Ratched, and if my blood doesn't boil every time she opens her freaking mouth, that, you know, the movie doesn't have as much impact for me without that character. So I'm going Ratched, Louise Fletcher.
It's funny, really, because I'm the complete opposite to you. I feel like McMurphy is a tougher role to reenact than the Ratched role, in my opinion.
Oh no, he's incredible in it, absolutely.
No, but what I'm saying is, you said that you think the opposite of me, basically.
Right, yeah.
I feel as though it'd be tougher to replace Jack Nicholson than it would be Louise Fletcher.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. No, it's interesting. I don't know if it's partly because I've seen Nicholson in so much that there's so many iconic roles for me with Nicholson, so that I don't just see him as one character. But whereas, because Louise Fletcher, this is really her biggest role and her iconic role, and an iconic and an amazing villain, that for me, I only see her in this role because I haven't really seen her stand out in anything else. Whereas for me, because I've seen Nicholson fantastic in so many movies and so many iconic performances, this is just another in his incredible filmography.
If he deserves it, he deserves it. In my eyes, he deserves it regardless.
Yeah, that's fair enough. No, it's good when we disagree. You know, that's. I mean, because you're completely wrong. And like, oh, I know. We can do this as a poll. Thank you for watching our video. If you want to look professional and act like it too, just see me and where I got this shirt.
And you can pay him absolutely nothing for some free advice on that to look professional.
I don't know how to get you an iron, but I can get you a shirt. That's the main thing.
It comes creased as well, all creased up just for your liking.
Exactly. We've got to keep it personal, just like our videos. And if you like them, like you like this shirt, don't forget.
Then please roast Brad.
Yep.
Oh, that as well. See you in the next one.
See you in the next one. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.